Welcome. I am your relationship coach, Anthony John Bartlett. This is a meditation from relationshipteacher.com. This meditation concerns sexual performance anxiety in men and erectile dysfunction. I want you to understand the problem, the vast problem that we have in our society with image and ideals and performance and standards. We are constantly comparing ourselves with other individuals. We might compare ourselves with a model, an actor, maybe someone that we know and we think that they're very popular with women. Maybe they have a high amount of sexual prowess. It might be true, and it might be entirely a fictional story. But that doesn't matter. The reason we run into problems is because of these false ideals, that we think that we have to live up to some arbitrary standard. So I want you to join me in this meditation so that you can learn to calm down, manage your anxiety. Your overall performance in the sexual environment will increase. There's nothing complicated or secret about these methods. They're well researched. The problem is ruminating and focusing on these false ideals and not looking to actual methods that are proven to work. So I want you to understand that whether you have sexual performance anxiety or erectile dysfunction, there's an incredible amount that we can do to alleviate and mediate those concerns. This is not controversial. And to that, I am thankful, and I hope you're thankful too. Because with a little applied effort, there's very little in terms of problems that we cannot solve. So I want you to relax. And to relax, I want you to find the most comfortable position in the most comfortable place that you have in your home. We don't want to do this while we are driving or at work. We don't want to do this when we have distractions in front of us, because it can become frustrating as we are trying to relax in front of these other distractions. So find yourself in that comfortable position, in that most beautiful and comfortable environment that you so often find peace in. Now that you've begun relaxing, I want you to start taking some deep inward breaths and hold them. And I often find it's best if you hold it until it must be expelled. And I want you to do that for several iterations while I speak. You're going to breathe in nice and slow and hold it. You're going to breathe in, hold it until it needs to burst out, and slowly release it. I want you to find yourself in the most beautiful place you have ever been. And perhaps you've seen something, and it could be even in a picture or from a dream. You can go there as well. Either are options that you can use, but I want you to pick a place that you know is going to be completely quiet and peaceful so that you can focus entirely on relaxing. Where would you go if you could relax and you know nothing could disturb you and you know nothing could harm you? What would that place look like? Maybe you're on a cliff overlooking the ocean, on an island that's never seen footsteps from humans or other animals. Perhaps you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean, riding calm waves up and down, across the peak and trough. Perhaps you're in the middle of a rainforest, hearing the calls of various animals, the dull roar of the insects as you relax in your little bubble. Wherever you are, imagine and live in that peace and calm that only this place has provided to that certain extent. I want you to imagine that this calm and peaceful environment is feeding you energy. This environment is springing roots, and even the air is springing roots to which are trying to make contact with your body to feed you energy. All around you, these roots from the ground, from the sky, from the air around you, are seeking connection with you, almost in the same way as neural connections in our minds, as they meet their post-synaptic connections. Imagine 100 different roots make contact and begin feeding you energy. You have no more concerns in life, as you are just living in the moment, living in this beautiful, calm and peaceful environment, free from worry, free from distractions. You realize that you have nothing to worry about. You have no problems in this very moment. You might have had problems in the past, but your past self lived in those moments. In the present moment, there are no such concerns. In the present moment, you are in the most beautiful environment that you could possibly imagine. There are no dangers, there is no harm, there's no strife, there are no arguments. It's pure peace. There is nothing to worry about, and there's nothing that can hurt you in this most beautiful place. The same thing is true in life in general. We have things that we ruminate and worry about, but these are all flowing from our mind's recreation of the past. That's what a memory is. When we look to the past, we put an equal sign in front of it and imply that the past equals the future. Thus, we live in the present moment in which we are moving towards the future. The past tends to imply that something still exists. Whatever happened in the past still exists in the present moment, according to our minds. But as you are well aware, nothing could be further from the truth. You are in this incredibly beautiful environment, free from distraction, worry, and harm. And the past is completely irrelevant. Anything that happened in the past is a figment of the imagination. It doesn't exist in this world. It also does not exist even when you leave this environment. When we encounter sexual problems, most of the time, they stem from psychological issues. Perhaps you might have worries about your appearance. Perhaps worries about your performance. What about my genitals? Are they big enough? Are they the right shape, size, and color? These are all ideas and questions based on ideals. Ideals that are not objective, but only subjective. And we know that when we worry, we create problems out of nothing. In this most beautiful environment, I want you to imagine that your romantic partner is there with you. So now you have the person you most love with you as well. And to the single individuals, you can imagine anyone you want to share in this moment with you. And with this person with you, imagine you are completely free from any scrutiny, judgment, any distractions. Your romantic partner is completely supportive and is just there to enjoy the moment with you. As you embrace your romantic partner, you begin making love. You begin in the process of sexual arousal. You are getting your romantic partner sexually aroused, kissing and fondling, looking into each other's eyes. There's no pressure. Whenever she or he is ready, is fine. There's no rush to be ready for sex. And if your romantic partner is not ready, then there's no pressure, and it's perfectly fine to wait for another day. In this environment, you are not required to perform immediately either. You can take as much time or as little time as you feel that you need to become fully aroused. We know that as we age, it becomes more time-consuming to become fully erect. There's nothing controversial about this. In this understanding, we simply give our minds and bodies more time. And that can be a good thing, because we can extend the length of foreplay, making it more exciting for each romantic partner. In fact, women tend to need about 10 minutes to become fully sexually aroused. 10 minutes until they are fully capable of enjoying sex. Well, why don't we give ourselves that same ability. Unfortunately, much of the time, it's been felt that we instantly need to perform at a very high level, that arbitrary standard. But you are in the most beautiful environment in the world with your romantic partner of choice. There's no time in this most beautiful environment. You could take an hour, you could take an entire day to get to the point at which you are ready to have sex, and that is completely up to you. We are free from constraints. We are also free from distractions, because when we are engaging in sex, in coitus, we are just living mindfully in the moment. We are aware of the bodily sensations, not the distractions of the mind. In this most beautiful environment, you have finally become fully sexually aroused, and your romantic partner is ready as well. And you begin having sex. And as you have sex, I want you to feel what you actually feel during sex. I want you to feel your heart beating. I want you to feel the warmth and moisture that surrounds your erect penis. I want you to feel the hardness and power of the penis, but also the pulsing power from your pelvic floor muscles as they pump to increase and maintain the pressure of blood within the erect penis. What does it feel like? What does it feel like to be inside? What does it feel like to be in this moment, this blissful moment? What does your romantic partner look like as he or she is enjoying the moment with you? I want you to feel in this environment, you are also completely free to make the sex last as long or as little as is desired. You don't need to last 1 hour. You don't need to last 30 minutes. You can end the sexual encounter whenever you want. What we are doing when we are having sex is simply trying to enjoy ourselves and make a very deep emotional bond with our romantic partner. So we are experiencing bliss on an emotional level, but also on a physical level. We're not worrying about performance, our body. We aren't worrying about anything except for how good it feels. I want you to remember a time as you are in this most beautiful environment. Think of a time that you may have struggled in the past with sex. And I want you to imagine looking at that person, your past self, struggle in that moment. I want you to look at that person and lend them a hand. What would you tell your past self when they had a temporary problem? Maybe one instance in which they struggled. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them? maybe you would tell your past self that it's okay. It's okay that 2, 5, or 10% of the time there might be something labeled as a failure. Maybe you don't get aroused. And it's perfectly okay because it's normal. Nobody performs 100% of the time at 100%. What else would you tell your past self? How would you help your past self get through that temporary hardship so that the next time they went to attempt to have sex was a complete success? I want you to imagine that not only do you give advice, but you bring your past self to this most beautiful environment with you. So now your past self is free from judgment, free from any worry, anxiety, or distractions. Your past self has no determined future, just like you. What happens in the future depends entirely upon what you do right now. And even if you fail right now, you have infinite points in time to set out a new course. You have infinite times in which you can attempt. You can try something else. You can keep going at it. There's no such thing as one mistake, implying a lifelong mistake. There's only what we do and what we do not do. So I want you and your past self to absolve yourselves of any preoccupation with past failures. Imagine a black shroud being lifted off of you, flying into the air before it disappears. So we know with scientific certainty that much of the performance-related issues with sex have to do with our minds. And that means we can enter this beautiful environment and we can regain full control over our minds. When we do what we know is proven to work, then we get the results based on that proven effort. I want you to continue living in this beautiful environment. Feel it as this beautiful environment continues to feed you energy. As you look at your blissful romantic partner and your blissful past self, I want you to begin to get ready to come back to full awareness. I want you to start moving your toes and your fingers little by little. Then start to wiggle your nose, move your jaw and your eyes. Begin to get comfortable to come to. Now you are fully aware and ready to come back to full awareness. I want to thank you for joining me in this meditation. As I close, I will make a few more comments. Often, individuals run into a problem where they fail to get an erection. It's very common that individuals then might avoid behaviors that are seen as leading to sex. They might avoid kissing and hugging or being close with their romantic partner. They might avoid confronting sex at all. This can play out in many different ways. It could happen during sex. Performance anxiety plays out in a number of different ways, but what we know is that it's psychologically based. If we practice these well-known and scientifically proven methods, we will get control over our minds. It can happen within a week. It could happen within a month. Either way, we know that if we practice, we will get full control over our minds and let our body do what it does best. We do not control our body. There are unconscious processes. There are things going on in the background that are without our control. We can monkey with things and hurt those unconscious processes or background processes. That's why we need to gain control over our minds. To do so, we need to do exactly what you did in this meditation. You calmed down and you just felt. You were living in a most beautiful environment, and then you felt the physical sensations during sex. And you know with certainty that sexual performance is entirely up to you. Now, again, someone might ask, what about erectile dysfunction? What about, as we age, the difficulties that come with becoming erect? Of course, as we age, it might become more difficult. But again, chances are we have the pressure of immediate performance, and we don't give ourselves the time to enjoy the moment and give ourselves the time that's necessary to become fully erect. It just takes more time. In fewer instances, there might be an issue with the blood vessels themselves. Again, that's okay. In those fewer instances, there is plenty of medical support that can help an individual, again, in those fewer instances. But I want you to tackle the psychological component first. Because even if it's considered only to be a physical problem can lead one to being anxious over their lack of performance. So we want to challenge those negative thoughts and tackle psychological issues first. And then, if there is a problem that is still persisting outside of knowing psychologically that we are healthy, then we simply go to a medical professional to get diagnosed, and then they prescribe us a pill. How simple is that? My point is that we don't want to rush to the point of getting pills. Because if there's still that psychological component, the pill can often still fail. A pill still requires psychological and physiological arousal. Those components still need to be in place. So as we close, I want you to remember that you have incredible power to heal this problem. Whether it happens 1% of the time, 10% of the time, or whether you've gotten to the point where you altogether avoid sex now, this is something that can be healed. It's not going to be healed by avoiding. So we have to challenge the problem head on. In that, it's very important that we include our romantic partner We need to let them know that it's not personal to them and that we need help. But then we can do what's necessary as a team to challenge the issue as we heal, as a couple. So I want you to meditate. I want you to reduce your stress. I want you to exercise. These are all things proven to not only reduce stress, but increase sexual satisfaction. And then we do actual mindfulness exercises. And that's just doing what I told you to do in the meditation, becoming aware of the physical sensation. When you are aware of physical sensations, you are no longer living in the mind, where the mind can distract you and judge you. During sex, you need not be in your mind. So, once you've done all that, you keep practicing and you give it some time. This is not an immediate fix, and you are under no such pressure. Remember, very few individuals actually need medical intervention. Your mind is incredibly powerful. This is not in dispute. So do the work necessary to gain control of your mind. If you need help, please find me at relationshipteacher.com. Thank you for listening.